I don't know. What do you mean, I don't know? I don't know just isn't acceptable in this place. Welcome to Hack Learning. It's what you can do tomorrow. I'm your host, Mark Barnes, and today we're talking about the dreaded IDK. That's right, the I don't know response from kids. We all get them right, and they can be frustrating. And in the open, I was giving you an example of what I used to say to kids. And I don't know, a lot of teachers probably do similar things. We tell them it's unacceptable, it's ridiculous, it's not a real answer. But the thing is, we don't often consider why kids say I don't know. We tend to default to they don't know the answer, and that's not always the case. There are a whole lot of reasons that kids will say I don't know. Sometimes they're afraid that what they say will be wrong. Sometimes they're shy, they're anxious, they need a moment. They might know the answer, but they just need time to process. And all of these are outlined in the new Hacking Questions, 11 Answers that Create a Culture of Inquiry in Your Classroom, book 23 in the Hack Learning series from Connie Hamilton. And Connie presents on questioning strategies all over the country. She's written widely on the subject, and of course now her new book, Hacking Questions, details the things that she says in her workshops, in her keynotes, what she explains to teachers about how to get kids to understand questions better, how to help teachers construct better questions, to get kids engaged, to make them reflect. So much. But today we're going to focus on the old IDK, I don't know. And in a marvelous hack in Hacking Questions, Connie Hamilton says that we should kick the IDK bucket. And she's got a whole lot of ways that you can actually kick the IDK bucket, and you can get kids to do it. And I want to share some of those with you today, as I often do on this show, in an excerpt from this new Hack Learning book. This is Hacking Questions. The problem: students use I don't know responses as a way out. No matter the reason, IDK answers are a problem in the classroom. Accepting them as responses only magnifies the problem. Students learn that if they wish to avoid effort or risk, the ticket is, I don't know. Sometimes these words are stated explicitly. Other times, they offer dead silence, leaving the teacher wondering what to do next. Wait it out? Move on to someone else? Offer a hint? What makes this problem even more complex is that we are often unsure of why students are unwilling to take a risk and engage in thought. Some are so automatic in their responses that we wonder if they really do not know how to respond, or are just shy, or are actively disengaged. Matching our reaction to the reasoning behind a student's IDK allows us to react appropriately and control who is holding that cognitive baton. The hack: kick the IDK bucket. We set ourselves up to kick the IDK bucket by identifying the root cause for the I don't know response. You see, we cannot assume that IDK means the student really does not know something. Sure, that's a potential trigger, but it isn't the only one. Each reason has a different solution. The careful pairing of problems with counter actions will send the IDK bucket to the graveyard. Picture a cognitive baton. Your key to reducing the number of IDKs in your classroom is to keep the baton in the student's possession. The person holding the cognitive baton is the person doing the most mental work. Why are students trying to rid themselves of the cognitive baton? One reason is that many students have come to believe that the game of school is about knowing answers. The narrative on this must change. Students do not have to know the answers. They just cannot be satisfied with not knowing them. In short, IDK should be a rise to action, not an end result. We need to see this as a starting point rather than the final answer. There are bound to be underlying reasons why they are unwilling to take a chance. I don't know is safe from the risk of being wrong. It does not require vulnerability. It does not draw the spotlight. No easy, one-size-fits-all answer exists here. Facing an IDK situation does not trigger one specific formulaic procedure for overcoming it. We have to consider multiple reasons why a student might be avoiding answering or giving a wrong answer. When students can identify the root cause of their IDK and find a way around it, they are one step closer to removing the barriers that are delaying their understanding. Creating a classroom where students feel safe about taking risks doesn't happen without purposeful efforts by the teacher to create the culture. How we respond to students when they don't know an answer says a lot about whether we value learning or just the right answer. Understanding the student's reasoning for the IDK helps the teacher determine whether the student lacks confidence, was disengaged, has a misconception, or is really lost on a particular concept. What you can do tomorrow. Use a physical object as your cognitive baton. Use a ball, stuffed animal, or actual baton to designate a speaker. I use an actual cognitive baton or a think stick. Having students hold an object when they have the floor provides a visual and kinesthetic reminder that it is their turn to contribute their thoughts. Be ready with encouraging responses that keep the baton in their hands. If a student gives an IDK, use these prompts to help organize the student's thinking. Do not dummy down a question or begin to answer it for the student. Keep these IDK bucket kicker questions prepped and ready. What would you say if you did know? What can you rule out? What are you thinking so far? Think aloud. Let us hear what your brain is processing. Tell us what parts you're sure of and what parts you're still working through. What part has you stuck? Invite students to qualify their thoughts. You can hear a lack of confidence in a student's words. In these cases, students use IDK to avoid committing to an answer they aren't sure about. When you suspect a student is reticent to reply, instead of affirming or redirecting the answers, encourage qualifiers like, "Right now I'm thinking. Based on the little bit I know currently, I might change my mind later, but here's where I am now. I'm still thinking this through. I'm not exactly sure, so let me take a shot at it." See qualifiers instead of commitments. Perfectionists live within our classroom walls. These students have the most trouble committing to their answers because they are still wrestling with the notion that it is acceptable not to know. These students can be 95% confident in their thinking and still offer an IDK in place of taking a risk. An answer for these students is to create a mathematical win-win. Ask them to estimate the likelihood that their response is correct. Encourage them to share their thinking and leave the door open for it to be wrong by quantifying it. Allow questions as responses. Rather than demanding an answer, invite students to share questions they have about a question. This gives them a chance to gain clarity and deepen knowledge through effective questioning. Acknowledge students for their effort, not their answers. Praising learners for correct answers can discourage students from taking risks. Many students use this praise to define themselves. They personalize correct or incorrect answers in a way that supports a fixed mindset that they either are smart or not smart. Effort, persistence, creative thinking, problem solving, and reflection are all traits that will serve students long past knowing the answer to question number 4. You've been listening to an excerpt from Hack Learning Book 23, Hacking Questions, 11 Answers That Create a Culture of Inquiry in Your Classroom by Connie Hamilton, and we are trying to kick the IDK bucket. This hack in Hacking Questions is so powerful for me because, as I said in the opening of this episode, I used to say to kids, what do you mean I don't know? You can't say I don't know. I don't know is unacceptable. And I think we can be okay as educators saying, I don't know is unacceptable, but we have to have that as our own philosophy and not something that we say to our kids. We don't want to set them up to never want to answer. Instead, what we want to do is kick the IDK bucket using the strategies provided in this hack in Hacking Questions. And there are more. Remember, there are 11 answers that create a culture of inquiry in your classroom in this incredible book. It's now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and stores around you, and I hope you will check it out. And you can learn more, of course, over at times10library.com. Thank you for listening, and hey, let's kick that IDK bucket. For more episodes from Hack Learning, please visit our archive at hacklearningpodcast.com.